started with this during the pandemic, and so
Okay.
yeah, so
Yeah.
it was like no one wanted to go to the classroom anymore, and well, shoot, not that they didn't want to go to the classroom. It was so many restrictions, to get into the classroom, and so we needed being a HUD organization, we need our numbers. We need
Hmm.
numbers, and so not everyone like to come on time to events. They don't show up when you put the lesson out there. But I found out when you put it online, you
Yeah,
know,
you get.
we get our views the next day. They come
I
next
tell
day.
you.
Shoot, they come next week. Um, and so we did have a lot of our partners. And as a matter of fact, I was talking to some of our banking partners today. There's a lot of, it's very, they have a lot of challenges when it comes to their stuff being rebroadcast and
Hmm.
recorded. And so we originally started doing a lot of it in closed room. Everyone would have to register, and we'll keep it inside of a Zoom room platform. But our numbers started getting smaller and smaller and smaller doing that. And so we needed to open it up so we could go on other platforms, social media. And so we can't get some of the partners to come out on Thursday, but we broaden our topics. And so
Uh-huh.
you know, of course, a lot of our homeowners, I mean, a lot of our partners like to talk about home ownership. They
Hmm.
like to talk about credit, budget. Let's get ready for a mortgage loan. Let's go out and, shopping for a house,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
that's
yeah.
really all they want to talk about. uh, but we broadened the scope now. And so we changed the name to Thriving Thursdays, and we've
Okay.
talked on every topic. I mean, you can name, dealing with the person, that's in our community that we can help them, not only go from thriving, I mean, from
Hmm.
surviving, to thriving. And so,
Yeah.
yes, so it's health, wellness, nutrition, is all those things. And so we just finished a series with our yoga instructor. I think I mentioned
Hmm.
that to
You
you.
did. Yeah, I
Yeah,
remember that. Yeah, yeah.
yes. And
That's
so
all right.
yeah, so she
Yeah.
touched on a few body parts there and did some routines and exercises
Uh-huh.
for
Uh-huh.
us.
Uh-huh.
And so it was good to have her on. And so anyway, Theta, I just saw you a few days ago.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Yeah,
We went
yes,
home. We went home.
yeah. Went home. Yes. We had actually had a reunion scheduled for this year, but the reunion was called off. But
Yeah,
we had another opportunity to come together, and so it was good being around family
it
and get a
was.
chance to, reminisce quite a bit.
Excuse
And
me, something in my throat.
yes, and get to hear some of the great things that you're doing. And so this is Thursday, Thriving Thursday Live. It's our show. Been doing it for a number of years, and we want to broaden the topic up. So, uh, friends, families, our community, I want to introduce you all tonight to my cousin, Theta. And Theta, I'm going to let you really tell people more about, and I may have some questions just in case you don't bring everything, enough out for them to get to know who you are. But just
Mhm.
share with the audience, who you are.
Hi, I'm Theda Wilson. I'm a retired teacher. I just retired in June. I taught for 34 years. And yeah, it was a really good experience. I enjoyed teaching. Teaching isn't for everyone. You know, um, what I've learned in 34 years is that you have to be called to teach.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not called to teach, it's going to be a very difficult job. And, you just see things differently. Um, and that's one of the reasons why this training came about. Is because a lot of times when people get into teaching, they'll look at students and they'll look at their behavior and they'll say, well, this student is a horrible student. When actually, it may not be the student that's actually horrible. Maybe it might be the environment that the student in doesn't fit the way that they think,
Hmm.
and or the way their brain functions, and that's part of the neuro diversity type thing. And yeah,
Yeah.
so
And so would you say that is what really pull you towards the garden in the outdoor programming specifically?
yeah, well, the way it got we got hooked up with the gardening program is that before I got ready to when I got ready to retire, I decided, I was saying to myself, okay, what am I going to do in retirement? I said, well, I think I'm going to garden. So this nonprofit organization called Gardopia, they would go out to schools and start teaching kids about gardening.
Uh-huh.
So I took their training. It was a 12-week course, very intense. And it was so intense and so much information. I took it twice.
Oh,
It was like getting a master's all over again.
yes.
Uh, yeah. But so through Gardopia, I was just taking it to learn how to garden when I retired. But
Hmm.
once they brought it into the school and we started teaching the students about gardening, um, that's it kind of caught me. I got bit by the gardening bug. And as I was talking with the chief learning officer, she was sharing with me that one of the problems that they have is when the educators go into the schools to teach students about gardening,
Hmm.
they have a lot of discipline problems, and they're not trained to handle or know how to handle those types of situations. And she brought up one in particular where they were at one school, and the student uh, started to elope, which means they were leaving the campus. They just took off running.
Oh, yes.
And yeah, and so they had to try to get all of the students together and try to keep everybody safe. And the garden educators didn't know what they was like. "Ah, what do we do? Well, I got all these kids. What do I do? What do I do? Do I go after this? Do I leave the kids here? What do I do?"
Right.
And so
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. Well,
through,
Theda, it seemed like you have had I guess you said a calling, and so you spent some time in the military as a
mhm,
military police officer.
I
So
did.
how was that? Well, first, before becoming a military police officer, how did well, I guess, how did you choose that role?
The
You
military
know,
police role?
yes, you had a lot of options when it come to
Yeah.
choices in reference to your MOS. And so, how did you choose to become a MP?
How did I choose to become? I say, well, if you can't beat them, join them. They can't put me in jail if I'm a police officer. So I said, maybe I better join. Maybe I should go into the police force.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, I
yeah,
definitely, coming up, you definitely seem more like being on that side of the fence as a police officer, not the perpetrator for anything. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. And so from school, because I know you did college before going in the military. So,
I did.
there's
I
different
did.
people enter the military. I went straight in 2 days after my 18th birthday, but you spent time in college and then you joined. And so joining as a police officer, spending time in the military, and then you had to transition from that, you know. So
Yes.
how was that? Was education always the knack, or with the military
Yes.
police officer it help you guide? How did you get from that to the classroom?
Well, once I joined the military and I went overseas, I did some traveling. The military, you travel a lot. I went
Hmm.
overseas, and once I went overseas and came back, I was stationed here in Texas at Fort Sam. And I said, it's not too far from home. And, if I want to go home, it's only 8 hours. I can get there in a day.
Hmm.
And education was always the goal for me to become a teacher, because my mother passed away when I was young. When I was 19, I was a freshman in college.
Hmm.
And at that particular time, I was majoring in engineering because, when we were coming up, they just tell you what to do and you just do it. So they told me to major in engineering. You're a double minority. You make plenty of money. You'll get an easy job. I said, okay, that's what I'm doing. But then when my mother passed away, it made me realize how short life can be.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, instead of doing a job that I know nothing about, I'm going to do something that I enjoy. And I enjoyed playing sports in high school. I enjoyed basketball. I enjoyed doing the sports. So I said, you know what? After 3 years in engineering, I said, I'm going to change my major
Mm-hmm.
to physical education because that's what I like.
Yeah.
And yeah, so education was always the goal for me. It was always what I was going to do. Uh, and I went to work and I enjoyed it. That's the key. Doing something you like to do,
You're
but
right.
you do it so well they pay you for it. They call it the sweet spot.
Yeah.
I'd play basketball. Nobody had to pay me, but if you're
Right.
gonna pay me to play,
Yeah.
hey, let's do it.
Me to play. Yeah. Yeah. With that, with the educational, administration of in the physical fitness, how did that, that's, I do know you
Mm-hmm.
play on a team with a lot of adults,
Mm-hmm.
teammates, you know, and so still going from basically working with your peers, now you begin to work with the youth. How was that transition from maybe teaching and training as a team to function even on the basketball and also in the military? You really, mostly everyone is
Yes.
nearly the same age, but to go to the traditional classroom, how was that, and why do you feel that was a calling?
Um, well, to go from like being on a team and then actually teaching teamwork,
Mm-hmm.
um, being on a team actually helped me in that situation to develop those relationships
Mm-hmm.
a lot more. A lot of things that you need to develop relationships through teams. When you play on a team, you win and you lose. You learn how to win. You learn how to lose. You go through the ups and downs, the emotional parts of winning and losing, and then coming back. It teaches you perseverance. It teaches you grit. And then learning those soft skills like that, I was able to take those into the classroom and work with the students on their soft skills and let them see, like, if they're doing a certain game or something and they're upset because they're losing, teaching them those same soft skills and how those skills would benefit them in the future. So
Okay.
yeah, so going into to sports and teaching, it really paid off a lot as I went on in my career.
Yes. And what grade levels did you teach?
I taught all grade levels. I've taught
Really?
high school, I've taught middle school, and I've taught elementary.
Oh,
I've done them all.
wow. 24 years, gosh. And Rita, I thought that you was much younger than I because you look
Hmm.
much younger than I do. And so, but yeah, I thought, yeah,
I thought
because,
I
I joined the military before you because you were still in college,
yeah,
I guess.
yeah, yeah,
I joined
yeah,
the military years after I've been in the military,
yeah.
and that's when we met over in Germany. And so I
Hmm.
was thinking that you was at least about 4 or 5 years younger, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so
And I
just
thought you
by
were older than me. I thought that you and my brother were the same age.
right.
Ted's like 3 years older than me.
Yes.
And I
Yeah,
guess because you guys used to hang out,
right.
and
Yes,
so I just figured, you guys were around the same age, and Angela
right,
and I used to hang out.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
So
used to follow Daryl everywhere he went. I was trying to follow Daryl. Of course, he tried to lose us half the time, but no, jump in the back seat. Let's go.
yeah,
Yes, and
yeah.
so yeah, I thought you was much younger, but then yeah, to come to find out, was born in the same year.
Hmm.
And and so you have made that decision you say you're retiring, but I think you just transition into a new chapter. And so,
Yes.
but it is, I
Yes.
like what you're doing and taking your time, to make that, to move into that new chapter. But now this is a new thing. We started that conversation. I can deal with the basketball. I can deal with the
Hmm.
administration. I can deal with police officers. I can deal with all even school teaching. But you started talking about this neurodiversity. I was like, Theta, that is new. I don't even know what that is. Even tonight, I don't even know what questions to ask.
Yeah,
Did you
things
just get
keep.
bored and say, okay, I'm gonna come up with a new word and let's play with some dirt or what? What did you do?
Well, in education, all things are always changing.
Yes.
There are always new programs, new things to describe what's going on with kids, and they're always searching for better ways to serve students.
Yes.
So the latest thing is neurodiversity. Uh,
Neurodiverse.
yes,
Okay.
and neurodivergent students. And here's what the definition of that is. It
Yes, please
says,
help me.
it says neurodiversity is the big picture idea that all human brains wire and work differently. A neurodivergent student is an individual learner whose brains functions differently from the usual or neurotypical standard. Okay, so that means that some students, they just think differently, and they think differently maybe because of their background, their culture, the way that they were brought up, and
Mm-hmm.
their brains don't process the information the same.
Okay.
Okay. So, and because their brains don't process the information the same, you can't expect them to behave the same. Um, so so a student that's a neurodivergent student, you may tell that student or give them an assignment, right? And they won't do the assignment. And some
Mm-hmm.
people may look at that as being defiant,
Right.
when actually it's it may be that the student is having problems with their executive function. They may know how to do it, but their brain is saying, telling them something else.
Okay.
Their brain is not telling their brain, there is stopping them from doing it. So they're not really being defiant.
Okay.
So with the neurodiversity thing, then if they're not doing it, then you don't say, well, this child's being defiant. You look at the child and say, well, what is it that's causing the student not to do it, right?
Okay.
And it may be that they need help with, it's too much. You might need to break it down into parts for them,
Okay.
instead of saying, here, go plant those seeds. You might say, we're going to take the seed, and we're just going to put it in the dirt. Take the seed, put it in the dirt, you know or you break it down for them, and you do everything in parts. And then by breaking it down step by step, then they can say, oh, okay, well, I can do this. But if you just give them an assignment to do, just here, do the assignment, they're like, I can't do it. Nope, I'm not doing it. And it's not because they're being defiant, it's just that their brain is not, their executive function is not triggering to let them do it.
Okay. Now, at what I'm quite sure it can be identified,
Hmm.
a person that may be aware, but when are maybe some early stages that whether it's a parent or a teacher would be able to identify some of those things?
Well, it's a constant monitoring, right?
Okay.
Because you'll have students, and I'll put it like this: 99% of the students will probably be atypical, but then you have that 1% that where you have the neurodiversity, the impact children impacted by trauma. those
Okay.
students. You have about 1% of those students. So they're not gonna be on board like everybody else. They're gonna be a little different.
Okay.
And it can be a little different, and you're gonna know they're a little different.
Well,
You're
Jenna,
gonna
it's
know
just
they're a
not
little
processing
different.
it correctly. Okay.
You know.
Yeah. And what made you decide that you think there may be because you, of course, you've been in the classroom for a number of years and you've been an educator and a trainer, if it was before you was a trainer and an educator. And so what made you decide to actually start thinking about putting together this training and I think what you're doing is what we call train the trainer. So
Yes.
I don't see that as exactly what's specific, but it's not like you're going to train a trainer. So why do you think it's
Yes.
important to start training a trainer on this topic?
Yeah. Well, it goes back to Gardopia, the chief educating officer there. Her name's Sherry Lim.
Mm-hmm.
She noticed that her educators were having problems, and
Okay.
she worked closely with me at my school, and she would see, the discipline problems and how we would handle how I would handle the problems, and how they it just I didn't have those kind of problems in my
Mm-hmm.
class. And she was like, well, could you please, 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 train our educators because they really need this. And I
Yeah.
said, sure, sure, sure. I'll put together a training for them. And that's how I really got started with it, is because she saw the need with her educators. And I saw it too when they would come, and I would try my best, and I would give them the students that I know that would listen and follow the directions. And then
Mm-hmm.
I would take the other students with me who needed more movement, who couldn't sit still, who needed that freedom to
Okay.
to be themselves. I would take those students with me and give them the students who I knew had the patience and the fortitude to listen and follow directions.
Okay. All right. Now, did you want to go to that slide deck, or you want me to just continue to have our conversation here?
Um,
Totally up
sure. I
to you.
mean, yeah. Let's kind of go through it a little bit since I prepared it. Let's
Okay. All
see.
right. And so we gotta bring that up on scale there,
Okay.
and you can just I
Let's
think you can
see.
advance the slides there. I think if not, just let me
Okay.
know.
All right. Let me see here. Um. Yeah. All right. Growing every mind introduction. Okay. Let's keep it going here. Okay. 34 years. PE teaching garden program. We kind of already talked about that. How did
Hmm.
I get into the garden um, program? Um, Now this is really interesting though. I've been in the garden, working with the garden program, the school garden, community garden program for 2 years. And I was able to start a community school garden at my school. And what surprised me the most out of everything is the effect that the garden had on the students. Um, we had those students who had these behavior issues in the classroom,
Hmm.
and really bad behavior issues, tearing up the classroom. And I would go in, and I'd say, hey, you want to go to the garden? And they said, yeah.
Wow.
I said, okay. I said, well, you have to pick up everything you throw down. You go clean it up. And they come running on out to the garden. And it was just so amazing to me because once they got out there, they would pick the strawberries and eat the strawberries. They'd go over to the watermelons. And one little kid says, my dad said, you got to boom, boom, boom. You got to dump it. You got to hit it to see if it's right.
Right.
Say, well, is it right?
Yeah.
And then, so as they're out there in the garden and, looking at all the plants and flowers and bugs and everything, then I have an opportunity to have a conversation with them about, what they did and what they're going to do next time, and, what caused it.
Right.
And they kind of settle down and they go back into the classroom, ready to go. I didn't think that I didn't anticipate the garden having that type of effect
Right.
on the students. I didn't see that coming. I just thought they were going to learn how to grow some vegetables and food, and and how to learn how to fertilize and that kind of stuff. I didn't know that it would have a effect on their behaviors and stuff. So
Wow.
that was the big surprise for me.
Yes. And so it was actually, once you put it into practice, that actually was shown actually, in the field, learning it.
Yes,
Yes. Yes.
yes,
And, and,
yes,
and so
yes.
I know it's probably difficult for a youth to explain, but did any of the kids actually be able to communicate, their difference in, I guess, their emotion or behavior, why the um, the garden caused that difference in behavior?
Um, no, they did not articulate the change because most of these kids are elementary
Okay.
students, and so they could not really. They didn't have the ability to articulate what was going on with them,
Mm-hmm.
but they understood that if they would go to the garden, it was a place where they could uh become calm, become grounded, and just escape from the environment that's causing them to be frustrated.
Okay.
A lot of the kids, one of the behaviors we mentioned in this series is elopement, where
Mm-hmm.
they run, and sometimes they'll run because they don't feel safe or they
Okay.
don't want to be there. So they leave. And so one of the places they're starting to run to now is the garden, which is a safe place. So if they're going to leave and they feel that they're unsafe, maybe because an adult has said, laid down some strict rules and guidelines, and
Mm-hmm.
they don't feel safe, they feel that adult is threatening to them. So I'm out of here. But now, instead of just running in the street, down the street, across the railroad track, which we had a student do, they run to the garden, you know.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Okay. So the garden had become a classroom without walls. That's
Yes, it has become a classroom without walls. That's one of the projects I had before I left. We have the garden outside in the back, and now we got a grant from the San Antonio Foundation, and they're putting up a canopy.
mm-hmm.
I think it's 22 by 22 canopy. So we'll have a cover out there. And I wanted to put up a whiteboard and some other things and picnic tables under there so that the teachers can actually take the students out to the garden
Okay.
and actually have class
Okay.
um, outside in that environment. Um, they can actually hold class out there. And along with that, not only that, but also all of the science that they learn out in the garden, learning about the different types of soil,
Mm-hmm.
and what plants grow best in what soil, learning about composting, how do you make compost and why do we make compost, and why, what benefit is it to make compost.
Mm-hmm.
So the garden really did become a living, breathing classroom for them where they learned all of these things. And our school won the community composting contest.
Really?
Yeah. So what the kids did was during the lunchtime when they finished eating, whatever fruits and vegetables they had, they put them in the compost and they took it outside. And I think they gathered almost like 6,000 pounds of compost. Yeah, yeah. So they won some money. I think it was $1,000 we got for our garden.
Standing.
And yeah, and also, the benefit that it does for the community.
Mm-hmm.
Um, um, with the
Yes,
compost.
that is unique.
So,
Yes.
yeah.
Matter of fact, I saw a truck riding through our neighborhood. It had veterans on it or something of that sort. And so I stopped over to see what the guy was doing. And they had these little containers. And so they actually had to go around and pick up, this material for a compost throughout the neighborhood. I wasn't aware of that.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yes, that is a very unique for kids to understand that at an early age.
Oh yes, yes. Part of the recycling and keeping the dumps down. All of that. It's really helps the it really helps the environment
Yes.
a lot.
Okay.
Yep. So we're going to be doing a two-part series. The first one today is about the neurodiversity in gardening. And then the next one is going to be on trauma-informed practices in building relationships, safety, regulation, trust, and repair.
Okay.
So that's what we're going to be kind of talking about here. Um, so why this training exists? What the garden educators actually face. And we've already talked about some of these things. The runner, the kid that leaves because they don't feel safe, or they may leave because I'm over here and then all of a sudden I see a butterfly. So the butterfly catches my attention, so I'm gonna run after the butterfly.
Right.
You're like, no,
I
no,
can
come
relate to
back,
that.
come back.
Yes.
you know, and so you have the runner.
Okay.
Um, so these are some of the neurodiversity behaviors here that the gardeners see and would like to have some strategies on how to deal with the runner, peer conflict. They fuss about different things. Okay, we're supposed to be watering. Okay, it's my turn to water. Well, just give me a couple of more seconds. 20 seconds. It's time. No, I'm not finished yet. So they're fighting over the water, or it's my time to do this. And so they get into these arguments about different things, peer conflicts, to the point where they may start fighting,
Wow.
right?
Okay.
They get upset with each other, maybe because of lack of social skills,
Hmm.
impulsive behavior. I want to do it now, right now. um, Different things that cause the peer conflict, and we talk about strategies on how to alleviate that. By putting your expectations in place and having a real structured environment. One of the things I love to teach about peer conflict that I do regularly is I teach them about self management. And when in self management, I tell them, don't look for me to solve the problems. You guys have to solve the problems, right? So, how do you solve a problem? So, you can play rock, paper, scissors, and they love it. They love it. Well, I go first. Okay, well, y'all don't can't decide, then play rock, paper, scissors. Or
Okay.
they'll say, okay, we can play rock, paper, scissors, or bubble gum, or
Hmm.
something like that. And then it's not some one person being in charge. It's just you know a chance, and they love playing it. And then once they do the rock paper scissors and whoever wins, then that settles the argument. There's no more
Yes.
argument. And they don't have to come ask me who should go first,
Right.
who should do it first, because they've already settled it. It's self-management. And then we get to the point after that to compromise. Okay, I
Hmm.
said, sometimes you guys, you can just compromise. Okay, you went first today. Next week, I get the water first. You compromise.
Right.
And they get to the point where they can compromise with each other. And so that's how we handle the peer conflict piece. Is we teach them about self-management, and we give them tools to try to solve those problems that they come up with. And these other behaviors, the one who won't start, we talked about that one earlier too. The executive function just won't let them start. It's not because they don't want to.
Mm-hmm.
Heart transitions. A lot of kids, when they're transitioning from one thing to another, they don't want to leave. They might not want to leave because they didn't get to finish doing something.
Yes.
And then they might they might, and because they didn't get to finish, their brain is still on this, and you're telling them you got to go do this, and they're like, no, I got to do this. And so how do you handle those hard transitions? You give them a heads up. You say, okay, in 5 minutes we're getting ready to go inside. And then when you get to, okay, we got 3 minutes left, time to start
Mm-hmm.
finishing up. And you give them a countdown. That way it gives them time for their brain to say, okay, instead of saying, okay, let's go, everybody inside. And then you have the students that's still out there. What are you doing? Didn't I say get in here? And they still over there, and you're wondering, this kid's not listening to me. It's bad. He's bad. He's not
They get
listening.
introduced to the clock.
Yes.
Yes.
So transitioning, those are the things that they see. The drifter, the one that runs behind the butterfly, the aphid spider. Notice every little tiny thing,
Yeah. Wow.
So, and we talk about all different strategies for those.
Yes. And I have a grandson now. I can see some of those things in the playground. And so,
Mm-hmm.
matter of fact, I think it was Sunday, I had a chance to go out there with him for a few hours. And he pay attention to those things anything crawling on the ground. He wants to
Uh-huh.
pay attention, whether it's an ant, a worm, or anything. He just pick up things and watch things, and just moving around on the ground. And so, but I noticed that, and so you mentioned about the uh, those that are distracted by those things, but he found a great interest. But the other thing you was mentioning about the timing, and so I try not to be pressured for time when I'm outside, but I do notice some of the other kids, I've heard their parents, tell them they have 2 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, do that kid at 3 years old really know what 2 minutes is? And so
Uh-huh.
I guess as soon as you can to make them aware,
Yes.
time is very important, to let them know, there's a time, space, and
Yeah.
sort.
And
Yeah.
it gives their brains a time to adjust.
Mm-hmm.
Because their brain is still functioning in a mode over here when what they're doing.
Right.
And just for them to they can't just stop and go. Their brains don't function like that. They function differently. So it's best to say, okay, you got about 2 minutes, and then so they can start thinking, and it gives the brain time for them to adjust and then go. Um, and then they'll be ready to go. That usually works though. The timer, the
Yeah.
time,
Okay.
it usually works.
Yes. But I'm
Yeah.
teaching him chess, and so I played chess for a number of years.
Oh, okay.
And so I got a clock now. So because in the military we used to play doing shift change and things like that.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
12 hours. So who care? How long it takes to make a move. But I understand now. You need a timer, and so that is an area that I'm teaching him in reference to time to use your time, and don't waste your time. And so if your time, you're on the clock, you use that
Mm-hmm.
time, you're still on a strategy and operating rather than just zoning out. But yeah, so I am can see the importance of getting to using that timer.
Yeah.
Yes.
And one of the big things about this training, Larry, is
Mm,
to shift the thinking of the educator from
yes.
deficit to design.
Okay.
Instead of thinking that there's something wrong with this student,
Right.
to thinking, how can I change the environment to support this student? So
Okay.
that's the big thing we want to do with this training. It's sort of like a plant. If you see a plant that's struggling and it's wilting, you're
Mm-hmm.
not going to say, "Oh, that's a bad plant." You're going to change the conditions so that the plant can grow and be healthy
Okay.
and thrive.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with the student. You don't look at the student and say, this student is broken. You change the environment so that this student can grow and thrive.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's the same thing. You don't look at, so the big thing is to change the mindset, the frame of deficit. There's something wrong with this child.
Mm-hmm.
No, maybe it's the environment that needs to change to support this child so that this child can grow and thrive and be all that they can be. So
Mm-hmm.
that's the big thing that this training is about.
Yeah, Theta, what is, in your with work on, seem like it's been a couple of years, that you have actually seen, and I know you sometimes you you can pay more attention to one child versus another. Uh, could you recall maybe a story of a really, you know, the progress of a child, that a youth that had these techniques have actually benefited from using these techniques with the
Oh
child?
yeah, it's so many, so many, so many. A couple. I'll give you one scenario where this is a kindergarten kid. He's 5. He's never been in school,
Mm-hmm.
and he's artistic,
Okay.
so he thinks differently. And he'd never been in school before. Um, and so when he came into the gym, he was overstimulated because there's so many things to do and so many things to play with. We got basketballs and jump ropes and hula hoops and
Uh-huh.
scooters and just, and it was like, wow. And you think he's gonna come in and sit down and listen to directions?
Yeah.
Never been in school before?
Yeah.
No. I'm heading straight over there to those balls, and I'm going to get those balls, and I'm going to kick them all over the place. And, uh, and we got to the point with him where, first of all, I had to use close proximity with him.
Oh yeah.
Yes, I had to keep him right next to
Right
me.
there. Yeah.
Yes, right next to me, right next to me.
Yeah.
And
Arm.
developed a relationship with him.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and he wasn't talking. So when I went to the meeting with his parents, um, and there was, he had problems talking. I said, well, he talks to me.
Mm-hmm.
he told me, I like your hair. I had braids at the time. I like
Right.
your hair. I mean, I said he has regular conversations with me. So building those relationships.
Yeah.
Okay. You have to build a relationship with the student. If the student knows that you care
Mm-hmm.
first, they are more apt to listen to
Okay.
what you have to say. But
Okay.
if you don't take time to build that relationship with that student, and you just write that student off like something wrong with them, this is something, and you don't try to change the environment where this student can be successful, you're
Right.
gonna have a hard year.
Mm-hmm.
But he got to the point. This particular student got to the point where he'd come in and he'd sit down on his dot. He got to the point, and I even filmed this for his parents. I took a video of him.
Yeah.
He was actually got to the point where he was actually interacting with the other students and playing with the other students.
Wow.
And that was really something hard for a student with that has autism
Mm-hmm.
because they're socially, but he got to the point where he was actually playing with the other students, turning the jump rope. We put on Just for Dance. He was dancing with the other students.
Yeah.
And, I recorded that for his parents, and they just loved it.
Yes. I bet that was a treat for them.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
another student, he was an older student. He had some emotional problems and he would shut down during the class and he would want to leave. He just hit the door and leave.
Mm-hmm.
And and it was because he didn't feel emotionally safe. And he felt in order to be safe, it was he had to leave.
Okay.
He had to leave. So he was one of the students that would elope and leave. So we had to use the strategies that we have in place for the elopement. And he actually stopped leaving because what I did was the strategy I used with him was, I understand that sometimes you get frustrated and you feel that, you have to leave. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this a care corner.
Mm-hmm.
So when you get ready to leave, it's okay, you can leave, but I want you to go over here to this corner. This is the care corner, and I put all kinds of little things in there, comforting things in there, um, like little Care Bears and other little things that where they can go and sit and be comfortable, instead of leaving the gym, just running outside. They have a place to go to
Right.
instead of going outside where it's not safe and you don't it's a lot of different things that can happen.
Yes. As
So
far
we
as
built on building him a place to go,
okay.
and inside the gym, or it could be inside a classroom, a care corner or whatever you want to call it. Build one for that particular student that needs to leave and go to a safe place, so you build a safe place for them to go.
Okay. Yeah. So
Yeah.
rather than running away from something, it's something to run to, which is
Yes.
a place for comfort.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
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 Theta, we have some guests here that are watching, and there's a question out there from Robert, and Robert
Mhm.
is suggesting, have you thought about writing a book on this?
No, I haven't. I have not. Maybe I should, I probably could. I got a lot of stories.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And I do remember you said that you were going to ease yourself into this, but I think you definitely have a lot of knowledge in this area and so much to share. And so it's probably definitely something that I think a lot of our institutions, if you want to use that training
Mm-hmm,
institution,
mm-hmm,
classroom,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
these things could be implemented. Because just speaking of environments that I've experienced, whether it's myself or kids, that we thought it was really threatening and we had no place to go, and also has been identified as having a problem. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and so having a problem, having an issue that whether it's needed more discipline or you need more medication,
Yeah,
one,
yeah,
one of those two.
yeah,
But
yeah. One of those
it was
two,
it was
exactly.
always it was
You
always the
better,
plant was broken.
the plant's broken.
The plant is broken. Yes.
I know it. I know it. And it's bad because a lot of our educators think that way.
Yeah.
They that's why I say it's a calling. They come into it and they all broke. Every
Right.
last one. Every last. And you talk, and sometimes you go places and you hear teachers talking and they talk about how bad those students are.
Really.
Oh, they're so doggone bad.
Really.
You have, I don't think, I know you never heard me say that kid is just bad, because I don't see him that way.
Yeah.
I may jokingly say stuff, but no, they be serious.
Yes.
They need some medicine.
Yeah. He needs some medicine. Yeah. Yeah.
It couldn't be me. It couldn't be
No,
me.
it
It
can't
couldn't be
be me.
what I'm doing. I'm doing everything right.
Yeah.
I don't need to change nothing. I don't need to change the environment. I don't
All
need to
right.
change no soil. The plant don't need water.
All
Okay,
right. No,
it's gonna be all right.
it's gonna be all right. Yeah. That plant is. Yeah, bad structure. Yes. His makeup is bad.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. All
So
right. Yes. And so with that, what ways that you can think that you can motivate, I guess, influence these educators to, you know, want to, look for change in ways to
yeah,
work with youth.
I think that there was a need because they, after speaking with some of them, and they were sharing with me some of their experiences with the behaviors that they were seeing and not knowing how to handle those behaviors.
Mm-hmm.
They will take anything that they can get that can help them, um get through the situations or learn how to deal with the behaviors. They want the training, they want the knowledge because they want to be successful when they go out and meet with the students. They don't want to be in a position where they're so frustrated they can't, you know, do anything. Like one was saying that the thing she said, the one thing I can't stand is the disrespect.
Mm.
I
Yes.
cannot stand the disrespect. I said, well, what do you think they're getting out of it when they're being disrespectful? What do you think? Are they getting anything out of that? Why are they being disrespectful? They getting something out of it? So what I do is during the training, I don't give answers. I just ask questions
Mm-hmm.
and I pull out of them what they already know, but they don't know they know it. And through questioning, I just continue to ask questions, and as they think about the questions, then they come up with different answers, and they start to flip their thinking again. Okay, maybe it's not the child, maybe I can change the way I approach, and the child may not be disrespectful. If the child was disrespectful, okay, I'm sorry. Maybe I said the wrong thing. Let me say it another way. I apologize.
Right.
Just changing the environment, changing the way you approach a situation, you know, instead of looking at it as a deficit, something wrong with this child. This child is this, or this child is that. So yeah, they want the training. They really do. They want it because they want to be successful, and they want the students to be successful. The ones that they're seem that are challenging.
Yes. And Theta, I really like the way that maybe I know I've gotten a lot out of this, to keeping it very, simple for the educator and not actually, making it difficult, using a lot of difficult terminology, you know,
Mhm.
because yeah, because I'm afraid sometimes to talk to these guys, these academias, that have the vocabulary is just expanded. So, so how important is to keeping it simple?
uh, yeah. I mean, you have to be able to communicate,
Hmm.
right? You have to be able to communicate. You can use all these big fancy words, and at the end of the day, if you haven't um, been able to communicate, or the person you're communicating with haven't received what it is you want them to receive, or what it is they were expecting to receive, then what good was it?
Correct.
What good was it? One of my instructors when I was in college, she said this to me. She said this to the class. She said, "When you're in Rome, you speak as the Romans do."
Right.
She said, "I went to Princeton and I graduated from Princeton." She said, "But I grew up in Clinton, Louisiana,
Uh huh.
and in Clinton, Louisiana, when I go there, they say, 'Hey, girl, how you doing?'" But when I'm at Princeton, they say girl. Okay, so I'm at Princeton. When I go back home, do you think I'm going to say, "Hey, girl, how you doing"? No. She says, "I have a PhD. I'm a doctor." When I go home, I say, "Hey, girl, how you doing?" So you use academia when you speak as the Romans speak. You know,
Right.
when you
You
with
with them.
Romans, you speak Roman.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
that always stuck with me. That always stuck with me.
Yes. Okay. All right. And so you have one other slide there. Was anything on that that you need to cover there?
I think we talked about it. You were talking about the major thing of the training was to change the mindset from
Mhm.
deficit to design. You know, don't think of the student as having a problem, but think about how can you design your environment so that the student can grow. You
Oh,
know, yeah. So that's kind of what this slide is talking about. We never blame a tomato plant for withering in the wrong soil. We amend the soil. Stop asking, what's wrong with this student? Start asking, what does this environment demand that this student's brain does differently?
okay.
What does this environment demand that this student brain does differently? You know, so it's we don't fix the plant, we change the conditions. Students are no different. So we change the conditions um so that they can be successful.
Super. Yes. Well, I really appreciate you bringing this to to our awareness here, and I know our audience is going to get a lot out of this, and I appreciate the feedback for those that are online and those that are catching the replay. Please put your comments in there, and again, Theta. I'll make sure that I bring any questions that we get between
Okay.
next week, and also forwarding as you're putting this study together in this chapter. I will share with any comments that we get, and so that they have you forward
Sure.
that. Yes,
Well, thank you for having me. I really enjoyed it. Helping me kick off my new chapter.
yes, yes. Well, I want to
Yeah.
continue to promote, those great things that you're doing because it's all about helping our community thrive, and I think this is a definite area to help take care of our youth. And so,
Yeah.
our trainers need training. Our educators need to be educated. So, I really appreciate that. Yes. Okay. So any
Thank you so much.
you want to give us a teaser? What's what we look forward to next Thursday?
Oh, next Thursday we're going to be talking about trauma impact students that are impacted by trauma, and how to deal with those behaviors. There's a difference, and we're also going to be talking about relationship building, how to build relationships with the students. That's the backbone of it all. Yep.
Okay. All right. Super. All right. Well, Theta, well, thank you. And for our audience, thank you for joining us for a Thriving Thursday live on this Thursday. We look forward to seeing you again next week for part two. And also remind you to join us on Monday morning at 7:15 with Yoga with Tippy. And so, again, I know not everyone is up. I found out that Theta is actually up during that time period. She's going out to her
That's
gardening
right.
during that time period. And so, so if you're not gardening, then you should be doing yoga at 7:15. And so getting ready, getting your mind and your spirit and things of that sort. And then, of course, we got our first time home buyer class. Our next class is going to be in at the McCourt Building in Woodbridge. That's going to be on August the 15th. And so check your calendars. And if you haven't attended one of our first time home buyer workshops, please come out and join us then. Continue to follow us on social media and visit our website at firsthomealliance.org for all our upcoming events. That's all we have for today. Again, thank you, Theta, and we'll see you
Thank
guys.
you.
All
Bye
right.
bye.
We'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.